record.
Cool.
So, you all know that one friend that bought a stock in Apple before they could legally drive. So, yeah, most of us were busy trading Pokemon cards, but today's guest actually did buy his first stock at age 8. My name is Lisa Urbanski. I am the co host of The Advisor. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before I introduce our guest, I just wanted to remind you guys to like, subscribe, and I wanted to thank Spreaker and iHeartRadio for your support. We love you. Thank you. So, back to what I was saying. While the rest of us were learning how to spell dividend, this guy was already thinking about the future. So, his sharp, insightful, and refreshing take on wealth, it isn't just about money. It is so much more than that. So get ready, guys. I'm about to introduce you to Chas Woodhull. Chaz is a private wealth advisor at Gallagher Pool Wealth Management, known for his early start in investing, purchasing his first stock at the age of 8. So, holding the accredited investment fiduciary and certified exit planning advisor designations, he specializes in helping clients grow, preserve, and transfer wealth. His approach emphasizes focused investment strategies aligned with top investors rather than broad diversification commonly promoted by large financial institutions. So he began his career as an intern at Gallagher Pool, later working as a financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual before returning to Gallagher Pool. So he graduated magna cum laude from the University of Dayton with a liberal arts degree focused on finance and philosophy. So beyond that, he's passionate about cooking, exercising, and spending time with his family. And we are going to get to know this guy. So welcome, Chaz. How's it going today?
Great. Great. I'd say it's a 9 out of 10 day.
Wow, that's awesome. 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I love that. You're looking sharp. I love the suit. I said that when we got on the call.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
yeah, you just moved. So that's a lot. Like that I know for me, moving just it stirs up so much stuff.
hmm Yeah, it was exciting. It's seems like the right time to do it in my life. And I've got family here in Chicago. My mom's from here. So yeah, just an opportunity to change things up, expand the business, meet new people, and spend some more time with family.
Nice. I love that. And like I said when we got on the call, I love the natural light that's just pouring in on you right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah, really lucky to
beautiful.
have good windows.
Good windows. That's very important.
Mhm.
I have fake windows. So it's like fake sunlight at me right now. So jealous.
Okay. Yeah,
So
this is real. It's cloudy though today, so usually it's a little bit brighter, but it's actually great for a Zoom call.
totally, your lighting's perfect.
Yeah.
So I bet you get this question all the time, and it's probably so unoriginal, but you bought your first stock at 8 years old. So that's not typically a childhood milestone. So what kind of drew you to money and into investing so early?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I was 7, my family believes in manual labor at a young age, and so do I. So when I was 7, I was working for my grandmother in her yard, weeding, digging stuff up. And she was paying me 25 cents an hour. And, this isn't 1923. It was, whatever, the late 90s, early 2000s. So I said, Gigi, what gives? I can't do anything with 25 cents. And she said, well, if you want to learn how to make money, learn how to invest. And I said, what's that? Of course I said, what's that? I had no idea. And so she sat me down and started to tell me about a guy in Omaha who reads all day long and makes millions of dollars a year. And his name was Warren Buffett. And it blew my mind. The thought of, oh my gosh, millions of dollars a year, and he just reads and learns and listens and is curious, professionally curious. That just lit me up, and so we she taught me about investing that day, and it seemed like magic to me, and captured my imagination in so many ways. So a few months later, I had turned 8 years old, and it was the Kentucky Derby. And my dad gave me $3, and he said, "Okay, here's, you bet a win, place, show. Here's how you bet." And I said, "Okay." There was some horse named, I don't know, something. I was real sour about getting in a fight with my sister, and it reminded me of that. So I said, "Okay, I want all $3 on that horse." He said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." So, anyways, the odds were 12 to 1. I won $36, and Microsoft was selling at $32 a share at that time. So I said, I gave my dad the cash, and I said, "Hey, go buy me a share of Microsoft." Um, so yeah, that was my first stock, and how I got into it at 8 years old. Been doing it ever since.
Wow. So your grandmother was paying you 25 cents an hour, and that led to you purchasing a stock that changed your life. That's insane. I love that. I would have went and
Yeah.
bought some 5-cent candies at that age.
I don't even know if you could get 5 cent candies, at that time. But yeah, I don't know, something about it. It got me hooked.
Well, it definitely led you in a direction. That's for sure. In what a
Yeah,
direction. Um, so would you say it was your grandmother who shaped your view on wealth, or who was that person to you?
that's a great question. So she really planted the seed, and her continued lessons around wealth um, really helped shape that, and my parents as well. I was really fortunate to have, a lot of people, whether it was my grandmother, aunts or uncles, or my parents, who um, just generally themselves had the right mindset around money. They had good money minds. They had, uh, the right respect for money and the right respect for managing expenses and things. But she planted the seed, and uh, I think together with her and my parents and some cousins and uncles, they really did shape my view of wealth for sure.
Amazing. I have an interesting question for you. So you studied finance and philosophy. So that's
Hmm.
quite an unusual combination. How do these worlds intersect in your life, or was it just something that you were interested in?
Yeah. So they they really are just things that I was interested in. But I do find that they have a very important connection, and that is, philosophy teaches you how to think. It teaches you perspective, and how to ask big questions, and how to answer those questions. And so that those mental models and those forms of thinking are really valuable when applied to investing in business and finance in general. So philosophy teaches you how to ask the questions and answer them, and uh, the finance side of things teaches you how to monetize that.
Yeah, absolutely. Listening and asking questions is so key in this type of work, right? You really
Hmm.
need to connect to your clients. I love that.
Yeah, definitely.
So take us back to the beginning. What was your first real job?
Oh gosh, my first real job was working in a factory, um, uh, and on a farm. So it was kind of a dual job. I was working minimum wage, punching in and punching out of a factory at the age of 16, I think. Um, and it was, tough work. We were just scrubbing the floors of a manufacturing facility in Dayton, Ohio, um, between 7 a.m. and noon. Uh, to get a 30-minute lunch break and then head out to a farm and, dig ditches by hand, basically. So that was my first real job.
Wow. And then when did you start working in the world of money?
Yeah, that's a good question. I started working in the world of money, um, probably, I think it was the summer after that. So that was 17. My mom had a small business. And, she knew I was always interested in finance, and I had been, you know, messing around with stocks for almost a decade at that point. And and she said, "Hey, why don't you come in and work with our CFO, to close the books and manage all the finances of the company." So I started working with him pretty closely, uh, you know, understanding financial planning and analysis, how to read a balance sheet. What does the cash flow statement tell you about a business? What does the balance sheet tell you about a business? So so that's when I really started more meaningfully into the world of money or finance.
Amazing.
Hmm.
And so, what's one of the most surprising lessons you've learned from working closely with, wealthy people, individuals, and money? Is there
Yeah.
one that stands out?
Um, Gosh, that's such a good question. I think the most surprising thing is that 90% of what people have, they have it because of uh, their relationship with money. Uh, I tell people this all the time. Generational wealth is not built off of the success of one person. It's built off of the lessons and values that are passed down to each subsequent generation. There's a lot of wealthy people out there, or I should say, there's a lot of businesses who make a lot of money selling, you know, unnecessary things or stupid things to wealthy people. Jeff Bezos is building a clock in a mountain that is supposed to last like 200 million years. So there's a
Bizarre.
lot of, yeah. And so what the most important thing about money is actually not how you invest or picking the right stock or starting the right business. The absolute most important thing is what's your relationship with money? How much of it do you keep? Do you let your money control you, or do you control your money? So it's really more about the temperament and the behavior of the individual that leads to wealth than anything else.
I love that. And ironically, I was listening to a podcast before bed last night. Someone I look up to a lot. He was talking about that and how people have this love-hate relationship with money, how talking
Hmm.
about money is really uncomfortable. And he was saying, like,
Yeah.
every time you pay a bill, like, thank your money. I know it sounds bizarre, but say, thank you for allowing me this, this cell phone.
Hmm.
So instead of having like a negative thought about letting money go, just it's like an energy in a sense.
Hmm.
Um, but anyway, that was his take on it. But people do struggle with talking about money. Do you find that a lot with your clients?
I I find it with people out and about in the world, friends and acquaintances who I run into, um, who I find don't talk about money. They don't talk about it with their friends. They don't talk about it with their family. They don't talk about it with their kids. Uh, what's interesting about my job is uh, it's kind of like a doctor. If somebody has a rash and their friend is a doctor, they're like, "Hey, can you check this thing out for me?" And they just are an open book about all their medical issues. It's kind of the same thing with me. I'll run into somebody and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a financial advisor." I literally could have met this person for 5 seconds, and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I just left work and I have this 401k I need to roll over, or this or that, or I've got this credit card debt, or my mom just passed away." Um, so all kinds of things. Uh, when it comes to my clients and me, the conversations we have, there's never a conversation, there's never an issue talking about money. I think because
Right.
people understand it's a safe space to talk about money.
Hmm.
Um, but within each other and in people's everyday relationships, I find almost nobody talks about money.
Hmm. Correct, correct. But that makes sense. You're, providing that space. People know what they're getting into when they come see you,
Yeah,
that they're laying it all out like that. But yeah,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
interesting. So, how do you balance being this high performance advisor and being a family man? Like, what grounds you?
Um, that's a good question. You know, I was telling a friend of mine the other day, it's you're a cup, and some things that you do are going to empty the cup, some things are going to fill up your cup. And it's just about keeping your cup full. And when your cup is full, you're gonna step into the world being your best self. Um, that you being the best for yourself and for others. You're going to be your most generous, your most lively and fulfilled. So, for me, I'm really lucky. I get to do what I love, and I just understand that no matter what I do, family is the most important thing to me. Um, and so just understanding that boundary within myself and respecting it, more importantly, is really critical.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Holding that value, making sure you know what's most important to you and you making your decisions. Oh my God, I can't speak based on that, right?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause there's so many choices. And if you know your
Hmm.
values, then it'll help with those decisions that you're making day to
Yeah,
day for
definitely.
sure.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
of one of the coolest things I did is I actually have an executive coach, and he had me do a core values assessment.
Hmm.
And it's free. Everyone should do it. Forget what the link is, but it gives you your five core values. And so when I found out what my five core values were, to your point, I started aligning my actions as well as my budget with my core values. And I found it was not difficult to do at all because internally I had so much more fulfillment. These aligning one's life with your core values is there's no friction because it's things that provide life and love and fulfillment to your life. So it's I think when people say life, work-life balance, work-life balance, how do you balance it? It's not about work-life balance, it's about work-life synergy. How do these things work together to make your life even better and richer?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You said a word in there, budget. And a lot
Hmm.
of people don't even know how to start. So speaking to, I guess our audience as an entirety, what advice would you give them? How do you start, respecting your money? How do you start a better relationship with money? What advice would you give our
Hmm.
audience?
Yeah, so I think it's I forget who wrote this. Maybe it was in The Richest Man of Babylon or something, but I've heard that money is a fickle creature and it will leave you if you don't watch it. And that is true.
Mhm.
It's really important to control your money and not have your money control you. And that starts with the budget. Um, Understanding what's coming in and what's going out. Um, a basic rule to start is for budgeting is the 50/30/20 rule, where 50% of your expenses are going to be towards fixed expenses, housing, insurance, utilities, etc. 30% is for variable expenses and enjoyment, and then 20% is savings. So saving and investing for your future. That is a very simple budget rubric to start. And as you continue to progress in your skills with budgeting, you're going to find something that works for you. Um, but yeah, it's absolutely critical. To my point earlier, that's about wealth being built off of the relationship you have with money. I've met a lot of very, very wealthy people, people making multiple six figures, even seven figures a year, and the only money they have is the money in their 401k and the equity in their home because they don't have control over their relationship with money. Meanwhile, I've met with uh, uh, school teachers and policemen and just your everyday kind of frontline worker who has a great relationship with money. They save a lot. They're very frugal, and they are worth millions. So again, it really all comes down to the relationship you have with money, and budgeting is the foundation of that relationship.
Yeah, definitely a lot of people struggle with that. And I
Hmm.
agree. I agree. So you seem very wholesome. Um,
Thanks.
you love cooking, you love
Yeah.
exercising.
Yeah.
So what's your go-to meal after a long day at the office?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, recently I've been trying to slim down because I'm running a marathon in October.
Ooh.
So recently it's just, something pretty simple. Um, Maybe some greens from a farmer's market, some chicken and rice or sweet potatoes, something like that. Just good whole foods. But on the weekends, if I'm cooking out with friends or grilling with family, then yeah, I'll put something on the grill, maybe some fish or beef, and then we'll make a big salad and usually a side of some kind. I don't know, broccolini. Um, so yeah.
All right, so you're making me hungry. So, is there any small habits you built into your daily life that you think really pays off
Wow. Yeah, that's
mentally,
a
emotionally? Just maybe
yeah.
something little, even if it's weird. Our audience loves weird.
You know what? So my life changed when so I pray every morning and every night. Um and different people have different relationships with spirituality or God, or so I'm not telling anybody what to do. This is just what I do. Um but I pray every morning, every night, and I used to pray for, success or, things I wanted or whatever. And then a few years ago, I started praying for God to help me be the best I can be, so I can be the best for others. Um, and beginning and ending my day with gratitude, and then the big thing is praying for the health and well-being of everyone who's ever wronged me, and I name some of them by name, um, and that has completely transformed my life. It's filled my heart with forgiveness and gratitude. Um, and I just feel that when I go to bed feeling grateful, and when I wake up and step out of bed feeling grateful, that carries itself into everything I do, into who I am and the way I interact with others. So that's something that has been transformational in my life is I guess practicing a little bit of gratitude and um, orienting myself towards how can I serve others.
Thanks for sharing that. And I feel like it is so powerful. When we put
Yeah.
when we put our health and wellness first and leave the want to be successful out of it, that
Hmm.
bleeds into that. Um,
Hmm.
and so I do definitely agree with you that if you're not healthy and your mental health is not on point, then any of your goals are not going to be as easy to achieve. Because I do agree with you
Definitely.
that that is the most important and letting go of that, resentment and just like
Hmm.
focusing on being your best self.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Most people think about um, success or what's the end goal, and really it's back. They're thinking about it backwards. It's
Yeah.
be, do, have. Who do I have to be? What's the quality of person I have to be? Uh, what are the things I have to do? And if I be who I need to be the best version of myself, and I do the things I need to do, and I do what I do with my very best, uh, then at the end of the day, we will have what we want to have. It's a necessary byproduct of being our best selves and doing our best work. Is a life worth living.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So, Chaz, if you weren't wealth advising, what do you think you'd be doing?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Um, well, my first dream job, well, actually, I mean, I've always kind of dreamed of doing what I do now, but um, if I wasn't doing this, the first alternative dream job was a National Geographic photographer.
Ooh,
Uh, yeah, so
I just
I love
pictured a
getting
giant
outside and
elephant. I just pictured
yeah,
an elephant and a giraffe. That's what I think of when I think of Natural Geographic.
yeah. Uh, So it's yeah, something like that, or um, I don't know, maybe a chef of some kind. But to be honest, I don't know if I'd be able to handle the heat in the kitchen, um, and the stress and all that. But I really love to cook and love photography. I'd probably something to do with being outside and nature and
Nice.
photography, something like that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Whenever I see chefs on TV or like high profile chefs, they always seem so stressed out. Like
Yeah.
literally, they're like mechanics in a sense. Like they're throwing things and screaming and yelling. So I know what
Oh
you're
my gosh.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, you watch some of those videos of Marco Pierre White from back in the day, Gordon Ramsay's mentor, and he literally goes in an interview. He goes, "I did not make Gordon Ramsay cry. That was his choice to cry. He chose to cry." It's like, oh my God, that's so crazy. What an awful work environment. So I don't know if
Mhm.
that would really be a good fit for me. But I still love to
Yeah.
cook. So
Yeah. Just stay out of the kitchen, I guess, or the big kitchens.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I want to talk to you a little bit about more about what you do in detail. So would you talk to us about the services that you provide and what you do with your clients?
Sure. So we do uh, full financial planning and investment management. The services that we provide to our clients really depend on a case by case basis. Some people need full retirement plans, some people don't. Some people are just looking for um, somebody to help them manage their Roth IRA. Some people are looking for a full kind of family office to help them facilitate or advise them on the sale of their business. Um, Although we don't do transaction work, but we can talk high level strategically about things. Um, and then, hey, what's a wealth strategy for your family now that you don't have a business? That kind of stuff. So it really depends. But the process, at least it kind of looks like this. Someone comes in and we say, "Hey, what's up? What can we do to help?" That's what we're here to do, is to help you. So it's critical that we understand why you're reaching out to us or why we're sitting down, um, and see if it's even a good fit. Not everyone is a good fit for us, and we're not the best fit for everyone. So that's really the first step. So what do you need? Are we a good fit? From there, we put together, gather the necessary information that we need to deliver to the client solution to what they're looking for. Sometimes that solution looks like, here's our investment portfolio. Sometimes the solution looks like a full financial plan that includes budgeting, estate planning strategies, tax strategies, investment strategies. Uh, and and then no matter who, we end up working with, uh, we stay in touch with them on a fairly regular basis. We reach out to our clients at a minimum every 6 months to check in. How are things? How are you doing? Is there any major change to your life or goals or career that we need to be aware of to make sure that you're still on track for the goals and objectives that we talked about when we first got together. Uh, so that's the process. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. It
Okay.
sounds like you're with your client every step of the way. So you
Hmm.
really sit down and listen to what they need and then craft a plan based on that.
Hmm.
Um, how important is, developing an exit strategy if you have a business, even if you just started? Like, how important do you feel like that is?
It's critically important. Yeah. Yeah. Good exit planning is just good business planning. In order to make your business, in order to have the most successful sale or most successful exit of your business that you can, you just need to build the best business that you can. Um, a very saleable business is going to have systems and processes in place, and the right team and the right key managers so that your business can basically run itself. If you can step away from your business for, 3 months and come back and it's still pretty much running the way it was when you left, that is the kind of business that buyers are going to kind of crawl over each other for to buy. So that is, exit planning again is just building the best business that you possibly can, and it's critical. Uh, Most business owners, Lisa, according to the data, um, will leave their business due to death, disability, divorce, dispute, and there's another one that I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically unforeseen and um, unideal circumstances. So by making sure that we're running the best business that we can, it ensures that, okay, if death, divorce, dispute, disagreement does come up, then we're not in a distressed sale. We still have a strong asset, and your business is an asset. We still have a strong asset that we can sell and go to market with. So good exit planning is really, really critical um, for any business owner.
Yeah, I totally agree. Who would you say your ideal client would be? Is it kind of anybody needing some advice in terms of money, or who is your ideal client?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first and foremost, our ideal client starts out with what is their temperament. Um, we cannot work with people who don't have a willingness to learn, right? So you need to have a willingness to learn. You need to be coachable and have a team-oriented mindset. You know, good financial planning and a good relationship with your advisor starts with good communication. We're a team. I'm the coach, but you're the player. And, you know, we both need to listen to each other and communicate with each other. And together over time, we can accomplish great things. Um, but if someone doesn't come to the relationship with that kind of a mentality of, hey, this is a team, I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to have uncomfortable conversations if that needs to be the case, it's going to be hard to work with that person. So that's the most important thing. Um, Beyond that, typically our ideal client is going to have, $250,000 in investable assets or more. We find a lot of those people are in their mid to late 30s up until and to and through retirement. Um, so those are the kinds of people economically that we tend to work with. But again, the most important thing is temperament, and we really try not to turn people away if they're willing to work as a team.
Yeah, I think that's so important in every aspect of life, right? Like showing up and being willing to not know everything and let the professionals kind of guide you.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And the other thing is I don't know everything either. This is my career, and I learn about this stuff and I study it all the time. But that doesn't mean I know everything. And so, yeah, both of us coming to the um, relationship with humility, a willingness to learn, and a desire to work together. That is a recipe for success in our experience.
I love that. I love that. So when you think about the impact that you want to leave on clients, your family, on the world, is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, I uh, I I've always believed in leaving the campsite cleaner than you found it. Um, I'm still I'm still looking for what that legacy piece will be for me. I'm still young and so I've got plenty of time, knock on wood, to think about that. But the biggest thing is for me right now is really just trying to be the best version of me that I can be, so I can be the best for others. Um, so I can support the people I love, my family and my friends, the way they need to be supported, and be generous with the people around me.
Beautiful. So we're running out of time, and I just ask you one last question. What is one
Sure.
piece of advice that you would like to leave our audience in terms of money, or any last minute thoughts you'd like to end the call today with?
Yeah. The best time to save is yesterday. The second best time is today. There are generally three recipes or three ingredients that go into wealth. One is how much you're saving or investing. The second is how you're investing that money. And the third is for how long is that money invested? By far, the most important ingredient out of those three is time. And it's the only three ingredient that we cannot get back. We can always try to save more. We can always try to invest more aggressively where appropriate. But once time is gone, we're not getting that back. So the absolute best time to make these changes and positive changes in your life financially is yesterday. Second best time is today. And I encourage people to do that with urgency.
Wonderful. And I do have one last question. I lied.
Sure.
I forgot to I forgot to ask you to tell our audience where they can find you. We will have that in the show notes, but I'd love for you
Sure.
to tell them where they can find you.
Yeah. So you can go on our website, gallagher-pool.com, or find me on LinkedIn. So Chas Woodhull, you can find me there. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So LinkedIn or our website. I'm working on
Amazing.
some websites and socials and stuff, but that's not quite out yet. So
Perfect. And when they go there, how do they book a meeting with you, or is there anything that you offer on your website that they'd be interested in looking at right now?
yeah, so we have plenty of educational material on our website. People are free to go there and read through it. Um, Best place to book a call with me is if you go into my About Me on our website. There will be a link there actually to schedule a call. Um, or you can email me at Chas, Chas, at Gallagher-pool.com. That's GALLAGHER-POOL.com.
Amazing. Thanks so much for being here today. It was so much fun getting to
Yeah,
ask you all those questions. That was
thanks for
awesome.
having me. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
So much fun and so much value. Like we were talking about, money is sometimes not an easy thing to talk about, but it affects
Hmm.
all of us all the time. So
Yeah,
I love that you're teaching people how to work with it, and just not make it a negative thing in their life, because it really doesn't have to be.
yeah, you're right. You're exactly right.
Yeah. So thank you for the work you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, amazing. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions for us or for Chaz, please leave them in the comment section. Until next time, I'm Lisa Urbanski with The Advisor, and you just heard from Chaz Woodhull, financial advisor who was doing things at 7 years old that not a lot of people were. Um, until next time, we'll see you guys later.